Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Coach's Playbook. It's Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. I'm Jack Pelzer, joined by Dan, Mick, and the one, the only, the consummate professional, the granddaddy of them all, John Hoagland. Today on the Playbook, we're talking about your keys to long-term success, day trading. We got, it's a real narrow topic, but I think that we're going to say some things that you like and some things that have worked for us or that we've seen work for people who are in the trading combine and things like that along the way. But first, I had an announcement that the shirt today, the White Sox are like 8 games up in the Central. I think we all kind of went to the games this weekend against the hated, cheating Houston Astros. It was good to see the Sox take 2 of 3. Altuve, they're all garbage. I ran into a group of like feral 8-year-olds in Bridgeport there was like 10 of them. They weren't accompanied by parents, and we were kind of confused. And my brother they were chanting, they were like really getting the crowd up, and then my brother was like, "Hey, what do you think of Altuve?" And one of these 8-year-olds turned around, was just like, "Altuve is a," and then said something that I can't say on this stream or maybe even YouTube. So that's interesting. White Sox fans, salt of the earth. But another person who's salt of the earth, Mick, I understand you have a trader shout out for us.
Yeah, big shout out to Amy Blood today. She's in the market. Now up a little over 5,000 trading the S&P. So keep up the good work. Really awesome to see. That's a big day.
That is awesome. Love to see those numbers out of the ES. So I was thinking, Dan, maybe you could kick us off today, since this was a topic that you wanted to explore a little bit, and then we'll take it from there, freewheeling style.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's kind of the goal of everyone when you get into trading. You want some sort of long-term success in this, and there's so many different. It's such a broad topic. So a couple things that I think is worth touching on or diving into is kind of account growth. We've talked about it a little bit here and there. We've had this idea of like how to pay yourself, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to taking those 2 steps forward every time you're trading. You're going to have steps back. It's pretty common. You're not going to come into trading expecting to win 100% of the time. Doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been doing this. No trader in the entire world has that kind of success. So how do you build out a strategy and a system, not just in your trading, but in your processes of what you're doing to grow your accounts and be successful long-term? Well, it really comes down to, how you're taking money out of the market, how you're paying yourself. You don't want to come in and take out, 75% of your account balance, right? You want to take little increments of it. You want to pay yourself a little bit. I think a lot of times traders get into this. They see they made a few $1,000s and really quickly want to take that money out of the market. Well, your goal here in trading is to create a lifestyle, kind of continue to pay yourself. And the only way to do that is if you have, let's just take $10,000, for example. If you have $10,000 in your account, that's a very tradable account. But if you take out, let's just say 5,000 of that, you're bringing yourself into a very tight account balance there, right? $5,000. Yeah, you can do some stuff, but you really got to trade small. You can't take out much more money once you have that 5,000 in it. So if you're up, I always look at it, if you're up 10,000, really, you don't want to take too much out of that. Maybe $1,000, pay yourself and continue to grow those accounts. And the larger you can get your account, a little bit more room you can trade with. You can have a little bit more size. You can maybe even take bigger swings sometimes, not always, but you can maybe take a little bit bigger swings. And then as you do that, you're going to continuously grow this account. If you keep bringing yourself back to that starting point of where you started, you're essentially starting back over. And I think that gets lost pretty quickly with a lot of new traders as they get into this and they're okay starting back at that starting balance. If they open an account with $5,000 or they open it up with, $8,000 and they bring it back to that, you're starting back over. And that's the last thing you really want to do is put yourself in a position where you're starting back over. So I think it really comes down to those 2 steps forward. If you take your account from 5 to 10, pay yourself just a little bit, maybe $1,000. Then you take that account from 9 to 15. Maybe you can pay yourself $1,500 then, but you really do not, you want to continue to allow that account to grow, because as you continue to allow that account to grow, that's when you're going to start to pay yourself a little bit more. You're going to have an opportunity to make bigger money. And that's the only way we're going to grow in this industry.
Yeah, I think it's important. It ties into managing expectations, because I know this sort of, I don't want to say wrong, but sort of the problematic thought process that we'll see people fall into. And I certainly did. I'll use the example of when I started, when I went from being, a trading associate or clerk to having my own book. Um, Everything in trading is just for now. Your high watermark is your high watermark for now, right? And current success does not dictate future success. So what happened is I started my book when it was a pretty hot month in the markets. I made a certain amount of money and looked at it. And I told the next guy that was going to get his own book. So he was a clerk who was like 6 months behind me. And I was like, Zach, this is great stuff right here. It's my first month. I made this. This is like least I'm ever going to make per month. We're going to be friggin' rich. It's going to be awesome. Well, that is not what happened, right? You can't bank going forward like, oh, I'll just take out half now because it'll be back by next month, right? You got to have real world expectations of the volatility that this job involves and how you can't take anything for granted. So you got to protect yourself both through the risk management of your actual positions and your capital management and allocation is a huge part of that. So with that, Hogue, do you have anything to add on the matter?
Sure. There's a million ways to skin a cat. Some of the more important things that I've learned from traders and from being a trader over the years is you can't pay yourself if you're not making any money. Obviously. As a performance coach, my job is I'm not trying to help anybody. I'm not trying to create $1 million traders. I'm trying to help traders become sustainable where they're going to be able to maintain that account for a very, 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 very long time. And in doing so, they're going to learn more about markets and how markets work. And even more importantly, more about how they work. Many of the people that I knew on the trading floor would keep basically a kind of a bedrock amount in their account. If they didn't make any money that week, they didn't take any money out. If they were trying to build the account, they could take out half of what they earned in a given period of time, whether it's a week, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's a month, whatever it is. So the risk management not only is trade by trade, it's day by day, and it's account by account. You really want to keep track of how much money you're keeping in your account. Number one, if your account gets too big, if you don't trim your account from time to time, you're going to tend to be a little riskier. You're going to take some bigger chunks out of that account, and that's not necessarily a good idea. So the goal is build your account to a bedrock base where if you don't make any money that week, or maybe you lose a little bit, you can't take money out. Once you get to that bedrock base, then as you continue to make money, you take out approximately half of what you were able to accrue over the last week or 2 weeks or month. And that's it. You're going to take half of any profits. Drawdowns are always an issue, and that's why we want to try and keep that bedrock level in the account. But when you're making money, you take half that money out and continue to build your account. And you got to trim it once in a while. It takes time to really be able to digest or to be able to operate with a lot of money in your account without going a little bit crazy and thinking I can now risk so much more because I have so much more money. That money is in your account, is yours. It is not yours to gamble or to waste. It's yours to add to, and using that money to add to it is one thing. Risking too much, over leveraging, and losing big chunks of that account, never pleasant experience and not a good idea. So my suggestion is you build the account over time. You continue to build that account by only taking out half of what you earn in any given period of time. And watch yourself on drawdowns. Of course, you're gonna size down. You're gonna take a little time off. Sometimes is a great way to end a drawdown, because you come back and you a whole new set of eyes and a whole new set of possibilities. And so it goes from the account all the way down as far as risk management is concerned.
And
do not take out thy whole wad.
Right. And I think that's something that I've seen as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more comfortable with. But to give you an idea of like how I look at risk management, my trading account, uh, which I've operated since I left the prop world, right? I mean, last year I got on a trade I was making, I got completely roasted, like maybe like worst case scenario, right? And my hit to my account was like 15%, right? 15 to 20, if I'm being like, that would be like the absolute worst. And like, that's the way I feel like now people trade different ways, but like, that's the way that I look at risk. Even though I believe in something hugely, I'm not going to put myself in a position where I can lose 50, 60% of the account. It's just not worth it for anything like that. Right. So
Why you're still trading today?
yeah, that's why I was before I got on here. That's why I was still able to put on trades, because it was like, oh yeah, and this was a 5 alarm disaster. Like, I mean, it could have, but if I had had a decent amount of size on this trade, I could have lost more. Get the old, the margin call. But like, you got to think that way. Don't fixate on what the worst case scenario is, but don't put yourself in a position to get. We see it constantly where people have accounts where in one day, they'll blow half of it. I'm talking like over the course of like a couple of months of this trade, I blew 15%. I was like furious. Yeah, but like you live to fight another day. So I think it's important to look at these numbers and kind of soberly assess what you're doing. So Mick, you're the risk manager. So if there's anything you have to enlighten us further.
I suppose I have a little bit to add. Last but not least over here, I think you guys all had awesome points. Since we're talking longevity, I want to just kind of back it up a little bit and start from the beginning. When people get into this business, people get into the business because they want to be trading, they want to be managing risk, they want to be successful, and they want to, reap the benefits of good trades. So I don't think there's anybody that gets into this business that says, oh, I want to, hit a hot streak really quickly, make a bunch of money, for a year and then leave. You want to be able to do this over a course of time and add to profits. But I don't think that, so that's a great concept or idea, but I don't think a lot of people do the work to plan out how they're going to get there. So many people say, yeah, I want to make a career out of doing this, I'd love to leave my full-time job, but then they get caught up in their day-to-day trading, and they have this big idea of where they want to be as far as making money and how much money they want to be making, and they lose sight of the bigger picture, and that's the longevity. The longer you're around, the more opportunities you can make, the smarter you get, the more you can profit from those opportunities that you take care of, the fewer mistakes that you'll make along the way doing that. So many people get caught up in the day to day, and they're missing the forest staring at the tree, and they're trading recklessly on a daily basis or trying to put up large numbers on a daily basis when the risk they're taking to put up those large numbers doesn't line up with a consistent long-term career in the business. So I see that being a big problem for a lot of people. I see people risking, Jack, I liked how you talked about your first month when you were trading with the prop firm. A bad way to start, in my opinion, even though it was profitable. Like you found good success early on, and you thought it was going to be all biscuits and gravy from there on out. Not always the case. I've talked to a lot of traders, and we know we're going to have winning and losing days. We know we're going to have winning and losing weeks, winning and losing months. And I know people that have been in the industry for a long time that have had losing years, and they say they look at they're trading in 5-year cycles because you might knock it out of the park one year, next year you might give it all a little bit back, but they're they've been around and they know how to manage their money. John, you said you can't risk that whole wad. Absolutely not. As you grow an account, which is everybody's goal should be just to make money on a weekly basis, grow the account a little bit at a time. You're gonna have bigger weeks, you're gonna have weeks where you lose some money, but grow the account. And as you build up the equity, you will through consistent profitability, you're going to feel more confident in trading a little bit larger. As you get to trade a little bit larger, you're going to be able to justify trading some larger size. You know, you should be earning the right to trade larger size, not just.
Is it just me or do we lose volume on Mick?
I don't hear him.
I think we lost volume on you, Mick. None of us wanted to jump in and
You still look
interrupt you.
great though.
You look great. I'm sure we can't hear what is coming out of your mouth. So we'll just continue this for now. Yeah, we cut him off. Yeah, sorry. I hit the big flush button right there on Mick.
Mute. No, I love what Mick was saying there. I think, one thing I will say just for myself, that I do in my own stuff. And I like to relate a lot of when I'm talking about these things, like how I do it myself too. So I have what John's talking about, that benchmark number in my account. And there's a point where I will bring that account back to that benchmark number, but I'm not actually paying myself that money. I'm transitioning it into a separate account. So in case I do have those drawdowns, I'm still in a very comfortable position. I think it's really important that when you're pulling this money out of these markets, right, you don't want to just go spend it all over the place. You want to have something in reserves. You want to take care of yourself. You want to set yourself up so that, no matter what happens, I can, like Jack did, you can still be trading even though you got roasted. So it's really important to think about that stuff whenever you're doing this trading.
Yeah, I think as far as the risk management thing too, if you work for a firm, right, the amount of money you hold in reserve is going to directly impact the size you can trade to. So usually people don't even want to take that much out except to, pay themselves on whatever the cadence is going to be, right? But I don't think, and this is where I wish Mick had volume, but we don't when people are trading in a funded account with Top Step, I don't think we're nearly as draconian with size and how much you hold in reserve as they would be at some firms, right?
Test.
Or most firms, right?
We got you.
Test. We can hear Mick again. Like if you're trading a firm, you're going to keep most of your money there, or you're going to get your size cut. Just because that's when you're trading the live markets, they need that insurance policy over you in case you go rogue on them or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to guard your butt. So
okay, I'm back all of a sudden now.
We got you loud and clear.
I'm not going to try and backtrack to my rant I was going on.
Well, cool, Dan. Did you want to move on to the next little tidbit Dan wanted to address?
Sure. Yeah. One other thing I think is important to recognize too. We've talked about this a million times, but when you're trading, taking that, I think Mick says it really well. The top-down approach, right? You want to have that bigger picture of what's going on. You want to look for those bigger opportunities in your trades. Every business you're in, you do a cost benefit analysis, right? You want to understand what are your costs going to be? How do I minimize those costs? And how do I increase my profits? It's basic business, right? Spend less, make more money. Keys to successful business. And one of the ways to do that is looking at the higher time frame, looking for those bigger trades. You're going to take maybe a little bit more risk if you're looking to make. I don't like using dollar values, but for this instance, I'm going to use dollar values just for painting a picture, right? If you're looking for, let's say, $500 in profit, when historically you've always looked for $100 in profit. If you're looking at $100 and you're taking 15, 20, 30 trades in a day, add up the risk on that, right? If you're going to risk 50 to make 100 and you do that 20 or 30 times in a day, that's a lot of risk to be taking. But if you can cut down the number of trades you're taking in a day, looking for those bigger opportunities, your costs of trading, your costs of business are going to decrease because you're going to have less fees and commissions. Your profits are going to be increased. And you know what's going to be really great? You're still going to be able to keep your risk a little bit tighter. You're not going to sit there and have to risk $250 to make your 500. You're going to find opportunities where you're risking much less in those trades than 50% to reach those profit targets.
Yeah, like we always say, it's because I think we'd all agree. by far the biggest issue we see with people who are getting started trading is over trading. I don't think there's anything that's even a close second. I would say maybe what we talked about with like risking too much of your account would be up there, but I think that's almost a corollary of trading so much. I mean, if there's only so many, like, how many perfect setups come a day? If you make 100 trades, then you're taking the 100 best, which is iffy. But if you took 10, the 10 best, that's gonna have a better chance to survive. If you took 5, those are your 5 like really good setups. They probably have a higher chance of succeeding than like the 5 trades you took from trade 95 to 100, right? I mean, that's just math. Something has to be the best. And unless you have and frankly, if you have a strategy that works through over trading, like you have something that is just working no matter what, then turn this off and just go keep doing that. Don't tell anyone. Just keep doing it, or go send a letter to Citadel or something. But like for the vast majority of people out there, that's not going to put you in a spot to succeed.
Yeah, one thing, over trading is not going to give you longevity in your trading. I think, I had a problem with over trading in the past. Someone told me, give yourself 1 trade a day. And it sounds extreme, but I did that for a while, and my winning percentage on my trades significantly increased because I was just looking for the best trade. I had 1 bullet for the day. Maybe I pulled the trigger, maybe I didn't, but I weeded out, all the noise. And I hear people say, oh, it was a triple star setup or a grade A setup, and then this was a B setup or a C setup. BS. Don't take the B setups. Don't take the 1 stars. Only 3 stars. Only, A setups.
Yeah.
Be selective. You're gonna do a lot better, and you're gonna help yourself find longevity. While I've got the mic, I'm gonna say, when it comes to withdrawals, there's an article I wrote on our blog post. It's called Withdrawals: When, How, and Why to Pay Yourself. Something I scripted up, and I think it's worth taking a look at for anybody who's interested in it out there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, those are some tips that we hope kind of help you find some longevity in trading, because that's really the key. It's ultimately a survival game. You want to thrive too, but trading's a survival game. Like, you never know what you could become if you wash out early by making the mistakes everyone makes. So you got to limit the impact of your mistakes to make sure you kind of stay in there and have a puncher's chance, have the chance to grow and succeed. And we hope you can all do that out there. So, Dan, do you have a quote to bring us home?
Absolutely. Real quick, just want to give a shout out to everyone. Greg, Lemur, Jerry's Awake, Andrew, Ricardo, and Stacking Bananas Trader, Profiton. Good to see you guys. So one thing I did want to say before I walk away, just within this idea of long-term growth, long-term success in this, continuing to be around years and years down the road, right? Remember your first job, what you were making. And that's where you got to think about when you're trading. Don't come in expecting to be making the same money within a year of a job you've been at for 15 years. You'll probably get to those same numbers a little bit quicker in trading, but don't come in with the expectations you're going to be able to cover everything in your first year of trading. It's slow, incremental growth. So I wanted to leave it with that, but I do have a quote from Warren Buffett that I think ties in well here. Also, hard to argue with what Warren Buffett says. He's kind of good at this whole trading investing thing. We don't have to be smarter than the rest. We have to be more disciplined than the rest.
Good advice from the Oracle of Omaha. So we'll see everyone next week. I'll be out of town, but I have no doubt that these rapscallions will keep everything on the straight and narrow. Oh, you want to send everyone into the week, I guess, since it's a Tuesday?
Sure. I want to say thanks, Jack. I've never been called a rapscallion before.
I paused in my mind, like I almost wasn't gonna say it because I'm like, oh man, that's a real $5 word there.
I've been called a lot of things, and now
yeah.
that's a first.
Well, I'm thrilled.
So yeah, it's about survival. Get into your account, maintain your account, build your account, and keep learning and growing. When you're building that account, you're buying time to get better at this. That's my goal for all of you, and that's our goal at Top Step. We want to see all of you succeeding. So take your time, look for the good trades. Sometimes they even come to you, and trade well out there and profit. We'll see you next week.
Really quick, just a quick question from Damien. Where can we find that article? That is at topstep.com/blog. Make sure you check that out. And then Stacking Bananas Trader. I just want to read this one to you guys. Hope you guys do this more often. Great stream. Now we'll rewind and watch again. Stacking Bananas, we are live every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. with Hogue, me in the afternoon, 3 p.m. And then every Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. Central Time. All of us are sitting here. So don't hesitate to join. We look forward to seeing your comments.
And look for even more in coming days and weeks.
Exactly.
Teasers. All right, everybody. We'll see